The one thing you can never really do for another coach is really give them that belief that it's possible. They have to freaking own it.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the Amanda Kaufman Show. And oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. We have Anna Renderer here on the show, continuing our series on the coaches that don't suck. So I had to reach out to Anna and be like, could you pretty please come join us for a short episode? And she was so gracious in joining us. Hello, Anna. Welcome to the show.
Hello. It's so nice to be here. I absolutely love you, and I appreciate you bringing me on because I know you're doing some great work out there. And, you know, being a part of what you're all about is an honor. Trust me.
I'm getting goosebumps because, okay, dear listener, if you were to see Anna and I see each other at a conference or a seminar or something, it's just our eyes meet. And, you know, we've been on this journey for so many years now of high performance, of business. And, you know, I have so much admiration for you and for Vito, your husband. Like, goodness, this is truly my treat. Well, just so the listeners know who we're speaking to here, we have Anna Renderer Lafata, creator of Ageless Momentum and Legacy Creator, and she's excited to deep dive into the number one superpower of being an entrepreneur and business owner. And I'm actually going to let you take it from there, Anna. What is that superpower? What are we talking about today?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about this because I know that many of your listeners are really deep diving into the strategies and tactics and skills of being an entrepreneur, being a coach, being an influencer, whatever it might be. And I truly believe that all those things are important, but the absolute number one important superpower we need is health. And, you know, my background is in health. I mean, health and wellness, right? I got my master's in exercise physiology. I was 20 years in the health and fitness space, really leading the frontier on, you know, focusing on health. But this is more than just what people are thinking about as health goes, right? It's not just like, let's eat healthy and let's exercise and move our body. I'm talking about elements of health, happiness, energy, attitude, love, time management, and home. It goes full circle around you, your health. You know, some people just think, oh, health, you know, they say, no, I need an acronym for this because it encompasses the elements of our life that affect every single thing that we do in our business. So that's what I wanted to
do. And our
life.
life.
Yeah, and our life, exactly. Our relationships and our self-care is a huge element, but these are being tested on a daily basis, right? We're challenged every single day in these core elements of our health that I'm talking about. And if we're not continuously deciding to be nurturing these elements and being intentional and aware, having just that conscious understanding of what's happening with our happiness, in the love element, you know, in our home bucket. These buckets, I feel, can really elevate every single thing that you do if you just give it a little bit of time and intention. So that's kind of what I wanted to dive into today.
I'm so excited about this. And, you know, I've been pretty open with you, Anna, over the years about like the challenges that I've had around like managing energy and everything. And one of the reasons I was so excited to invite you to talk about this is that I know I personally just feel very safe talking about it with you. You know, I think sometimes people feel like health is just something that you're supposed to already be good at. Like you're already supposed to be so good at your relationships and you're already supposed to be so aware of how you use your time. And it turns out your brain doesn't actually even work like that. So that's why we have to be so intentional about it. But what I just love about you and love about your style is you're so enthusiastic about it, but you also like make it really easy to listen to. I'm actually really curious, like what is it about health in general that's causing you to put your attention towards it in such a significant way? Like, I know you've got the background, I know you've got all the credentials, but I mean, you guys are very successful. You really could focus anywhere. Why this?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And, you know, it comes back to just the lifestyle that we've chosen, right? We've chosen this entrepreneurial lifestyle, and it's demanding. It taxes every element of your life because you don't just show up and collect a check. When you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, someone trying to build something of significance or legacy, your demands on you are so much higher. Stress is so much greater that if you don't tap into this superpower of health, you literally won't survive. You're going to be eaten up by the sharks of life. And it's not just, you know, one piece of, challenge over here coming from, you know, all of the business elements that you need to do. It's coming from your relationships. It's coming from within your home, inside your body, up here in your brain, the mental stability that you have. And so I'm so passionate about tying these things together because my intention on really not only being as healthy as I can be with the fitness and health, that's my career, but then having the high performance tied into it to really draw together the other elements of our lives that need to be addressed, you know, our attitude, the love, the time management, all of that stuff really starts to pile up. And I wanted to bring it all together so that those that are passionate about building and growing success in their life, they know it's not just about moving their body and eating healthy, or it's not just about knowing how to build a funnel or build an influence online. They know it's not just about how to have a great opt-in page or how to be a great coach. Those are huge things and skills that you need to learn. But if you don't have the health buckets in order, you're just going to struggle. You will. I've found, you know, especially having children, I don't know if your listeners are growing a family. I know you're a busy mama. God, when I met you, I was like, you what? You have how many kids? And you're doing what now? And I didn't even have my first child yet. And I wasn't afraid of having a family and also doing the businesses that we had, but I knew I was going to have to dig deep. And when I had my first son, Luca, it was like postpartum shock. It was like, what? I was under so much overwhelm and fatigue, like serious exhaustion, that if I didn't have the skills of how to be intentional about my attitude, just that alone, I would have been miserable in my life. I would have been resentful. I would have been angry. I wouldn't have enjoyed this beautiful beginning of my son's life because I'd be buried in all of the doubt, the fear, overwhelm, all the fatigue. It can pull you down because you feel it in different parts of times in your life. But if you can tap into the other buckets and lift those up, I got to do something that makes me joyful today. I got to do something that's going to make my attitude turn. I have to be optimistic about this. Those are the times where if one bucket's getting sucked, you got to tap into the other ones, right?
Love that metaphor of like one bucket getting sucked, being able to tap into the other ones. You know, one of the things that actually led me into entrepreneurship in the first place is because I was already a high achiever, high performer in a corporate context.
Yes.
And for me, you know, on the health front, I wanted to have deeper relationships. You know, at the time when I was in corporate, I was traveling 46 weeks a year with that job. And here I was inviting, you know, kiddo number 4 into our household. And to me, entrepreneurship was actually an unlock to greater health because I was able to design something that actually fit the lifestyle that my husband and I wanted to create.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times I've been speaking about this a lot lately. It's just, it breaks my heart when people make a really intentional move or shift, like to become an entrepreneur, change their career, expand their family. And that thing they're doing to exercise their freedom ends up becoming their oppressor. It ends up becoming like this thing that is like making them feel maybe even worse than before they started. And it's like, okay, but that's really actually a health challenge, right? Of being able to be more holistic and draw from those other buckets. I love this. Okay. So Anna, one of the experiences that I know a lot of people have is especially when we're in personal growth and development, which every entrepreneur ought to be, right? You get faced with reality one day. Like, I know that's definitely happened for me, where it's just like, oh my God, like I just realized I've not worked on my nutrition for like 15 years and I feel so lost, and it feels like, what's the point? And, all those kinds of thoughts come up. So what would you say to someone who is more recently discovering like, oh, there's a whole nother frontier here, and like inviting them, I guess, to play the game of health? Why should they play?
Oh my gosh, how many of us have found ourselves in that position, right? And, in these buckets of health that I'm talking about, right? The bringing the joy and bringing the energy into your life. Energy is a huge part of the physical, right, practices that we have. Like, are we moving? Are we sleeping? Are we managing and digesting our stress well? Are we eating well? All of those things, right? That's a huge one. Then you have the attitude, you've got the love, all of the things, the home, the time management. So if you've been really sucking in some of those buckets and it's time to step into the game, right, and play with us, if you feel like you're behind the 8 ball, you're almost in the most ideal place to get going. And you're my favorite client, actually. You're my favorite person to talk to if you're there, because when you feel like you've taken the last 15 years off in a bucket here, like your attitude's been just shit, or you've just been eating like crap, or you haven't exercised in 10 years, or you've been hostile to the people in your family, and the person that should love you the most has been hostile to you. There's so much, right? And so wherever you're in your life, if these buckets are drained, I want to just tell you that if it's been 5 years, if it's been 10 years, if it's been 15 years, you're now at the perfect time to get the biggest results with the smallest bit of effort. And I tell people that who are on their fitness journey too, when I was in health and wellness, just really focused on fitness, right? I said, if you've got 20 pounds to lose, 30 pounds to lose, 50 pounds to lose, you're going to get the biggest results with the more weight you have to lose, with the smaller, even just a small amount of effort. It goes the same thing with all these other buckets, not just with your movement, with your eating well, with getting more sleep. It's with being intentional about how you love others around you and how you're receiving love. It has to do with how you're going to start to optimize your time. It's just doing small things, or it has to do with little things that make huge differences. And I tell you, the further you are behind the 8 ball, the faster you're progressing back to it. Because if I've got 5 pounds to lose, it's going to take me just as long to lose those 5 pounds as it is for somebody to lose 15 pounds.
This. And just that applies in business too. If you're like, I've never made money, I've never done this thing, I'm like, amazing. Like when you have nothing to lose, I'm doing air quotes for those that are listening on the pod and not seeing me on screen. Right. If you have nothing to lose, oh my God, you're dangerous, because you have so much to grow from and to work with and to do. You can do anything. You have no sunk cost. You're like, let's go. And like that person, you like, do not discount that person. That's all I'm going to say. So Anna, if people wanted to follow you and find out more about what you're doing, maybe just take a second and catch us up on like what's coming up for you in the way of how you're helping people with health, and then what's the best way for people to follow you?
Yes. So I feel like I spend most of my time on Instagram. I love the gram. I don't know why. I just like the way the usability of it.
I'm falling in love with the gram.
I know. Sometimes I get on Facebook and I'm like, wait, I'm lost. And I'm all of a sudden distracted. It's like, oh no. But if I'm on my gram, that's where I talk most about my ageless momentum, right? Which is a new way of really talking to men and women over 40, people that are literally getting into the older years of their life. That's where age starts to kind of suck a lot of these elements out of you, and feel momentum as you get older requires different practices. So I talk about that a lot. I talk about a lot of the business stuff that I'm working on personally in my own life. Because when me and my husband work with people that are starting a brand new coaching business, or they want to build a program and offer, they want to create a high retreat experience, I'm always just like, that's great. We have all the tools for that. But the one thing you can never really do for another coach is really give them that belief that it's possible, they have to freaking own it.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I talk a lot about the high performance mindset because I can give you tactics and skills all day, but until you believe that you have what it takes and you want the dream, nobody can teach you that and coach you. That has to come from within. So Instagram is where you go to find all things Anna, even my wine business. Me and my husband are launching a brand new wine business. It's awesome. It's a whole nother challenge. So it's just like, all right. So if you like wine, you can also find me there at Anna Renderer. It's not Anna Renderer Lafata on the gram. It's Anna Renderer. And that's where, you can opt into different free gifts that I have. I talk about all these things.
Love it. Well, listener, do make sure you follow Anna. Like I said, I'm such raving fan. Love what you do. Love what both you and Vito do. Y'all, these are very heart-centered people. So do take the time to go and follow Anna. I'll make sure to include the links in this show notes. And don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Anna for sure deserves it, but also it's going to help people to find the episode. And go ahead and share this episode with 3 of your friends. Maybe you've got some friends who, they've been talking about wanting to do better with their health and they're having a hard time, getting that traction. Let them listen to this short episode. You can be that friend that just gives them that gentle nudge. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in another episode.
Thanks, guys.